Everyone is speaking out about this, a young player breaking out onto the scene, making a case why he deserves to be on the roster, and exactly the reason why Aaron Glenn wants a specific player just like him to make the New York Jets final 53-man roster, which the cutdown deadline is next Tuesday. So buckle up, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Jets Digest. Hopping right into the news that we have for today, coming from Sports Illustrated. For gangrene, the wide receiver position still has question marks, even with the cutdown day so close at hand. This is the toughest position to predict on the roster, written by Brian Costello. Nevertheless, he predicted which 6 wide receivers would make the team, predicting it would be Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds, Arian Smith, Tyler Johnson, Jamaal, Pritchett, and Brandon Smith. Also written by Sports Illustrated, Pritchett's inclusion on the roster would make for a good story. The 22-year-old went undrafted in 2025 after a productive 2024 season at South Alabama, in which he tallied 91 receptions for 1,126 yards and 9 touchdowns, earning first-team All-Sun Belt honors. Furthermore, Jets head coach Aaron Glenn knows from personal experience that diminutive stature in no way prevents a player from becoming an NFL difference maker. As Glenn looks to build a special culture in New York, bringing aboard a guy like Pritchett would bolster that cause. Undrafted players tend to add a competitive edge and a hunger to NFL locker rooms. Well, if we are looking for hungry players, which we know the New York Jets are, Jamaal Pritchett, the undrafted free agent out of South Alabama, absolutely fits that bill. I've been talking this guy up all offseason, and I'm so glad to see that he has a great showing to finish out Game 3 of the preseason with the New York Jets. Yes, if he was a little bit taller than 5'8", that final 4th down pass is probably caught, but we can put that a little bit on Adrian Martinez as well, that he didn't put it directly on our guy. But before that, Jamaal Pritchett was absolutely making guys look foolish. I don't know if people saw the play where he was running straight, hit the brakes, and then 2 Eagles defenders pretty much ran into each other, and they both got out of the way to let him move up the field farther. I'm very excited for this guy and think that he really deserves to be one of the final wide receivers on this depth chart. If we look at his stats from his career at South Alabama, the number one thing that we're looking for is the fact that the top things that we're looking for when it comes to successful wide receivers in the NFL. Historically, the better wide receivers in the NFL only play 3 years in college. The idea behind this is if you are good enough to go to the NFL, you're going to go as soon as you are eligible. In the NFL, you have to play. To be eligible for the NFL, you have to be out of high school for at least 3 years. So we want to make sure that you are drafting wide receivers or picking up receivers who, as soon as they finish their eligibility and as soon as they were eligible, they didn't stay in college football for a 4th year. They got right out and they got to the NFL. Also, he broke out as a sophomore. You can see in 2023, he put up 883 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. That is also something you want to see because that shows that this guy has skills and talent, and he wasn't just running up yards on people when he was a pretty much adult playing against younger kids in college football. As a junior, Jamaal Pritchett in the Sun Belt Conference, like the original article said, first team all Sun Belt, very impressive, putting up 91 receptions, 1,127 catches to go along with 9 touchdowns. We know this is a guy who can put up high levels of production when given the opportunity. The question is he going to be given that opportunity with the New York Jets? We can take a look at the current wide receiver roster situation. We know, of course, Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds, and Tyler Johnson are all locks for the lineup. Arian Smith also is a lock, drafted in the 4th round. Borderline of doing something crazy off the field, like some sort of domestic violence or legal issue. 4th round pick is always going to make the roster no matter how good or bad he plays. Malachi Corley is someone who is squarely on the roster bubble. Xavier Gibson, injured and already on the roster bubble. Irvin Charles is, a special teams guy as well as a wide receiver. We're going to see how he works out. But Jamaal Pritchett he's been my guy, which is why I'm so happy that I'm able to make this video because people are talking about him now. You can't ignore Jamaal Pritchett. He was so much fun to watch last night against the Philadelphia Eagles, just making so many guys miss, making so many plays. Adrian Martinez was very confident throwing it to him in high pressure situations because He was just making play after play after play. If we want to try to figure out where his role would be, it would be somewhere late on the depth chart with the wide receivers of the New York Jets. He still has work to do, has to refine his route running skills, has to make sure his hands are perfect, because when you are only 5'8", it is just that much harder to make an impact. Brandon Smith is someone who Costello thought would be on the New York Jets final 53-man roster come Tuesday. Brandon Smith, at halfway through last night's game against the Philadelphia Eagles, was leading the New York Jets in the preseason in catches, according to the broadcast. I have to imagine that stat hasn't changed. Brandon Smith, it looks like, Darren Mougey, we know they're looking for guys to break out, and it looks like Brandon Smith is another wide receiver making a great case for himself to make this roster. But just like I said, Aaron Glenn was a shorter player when it was his time playing in the NFL. So he knows that height's not everything. And he knows that some of these shorter players, they make the NFL because they are, they're fighters. They're like the little dogs that are the loudest. They fight and they scrap, and they know that they have to fight tooth and nail to make NFL rosters because they've been doing it their entire lives. Football is a bigger person's sport. Even in college football, the shorter people are always looked down upon because you think if they get hit, they're going to get injured, or, when you are a smaller wide receiver, you don't have the catch radius that a larger wide receiver would bring to the table. But that's why guys like Aaron Glenn or guys like Jamaal Pritchett, they just have to fight that much harder to earn their spot. They're not given the spot just based on what they look like when they, step off the bus, when they show up to tryouts or training camp. They are never going to be that guy who everyone looks at and goes, yeah, that's someone I want to be good. Like, if we look at college football, there are always guys like the next Jonathan Mingo who you look at them and they're like, 6'2", and they're really, really big, strong guys. And everyone goes, I want to take that guy because if he's able to put it all together, he'll be really, really good for me. But with the shorter guys like Jamaal Pritchett, no one's ever going to say that, and no one's going to give you a chance. You have to earn your chance or just take chances away from other people. And that's exactly what Jamaal Pritchett did last night. He's showing why he deserves to be on this roster. If he wants to get real playing time, he's going to have to be that punt returner. Quinnen Williams almost 100% locked in as the kick returner. I mean, if it was up to me, which it's not up to me, he would easily be our number 4 running back, our number 1 kickoff returner. But the punt returner spot is still up for grabs. If Xavier Gipson is cut, then we could fill it in and put Jamaal Pritchett in as that punt returner. I think that's a great spot for him because we have seen how twitchy he is, and we can put him in pretty much the Xavier Gipson role. He's not as fast, but he can do the gadgety stuff. He can move behind the line of scrimmage, play out of the slot the same way that Xavier Gipson was, but he's going to be even cheaper than Xavier Gipson would be, and he's not injured the way Xavier Gipson is currently injured. Just a ton of reasons why we should be excited about this player because, like I said, he is the type of guy Aaron Glenn's looking for, a young, hungry guy. And we look at the moves that Darren Mougey keeps making. He is signing players with low risk for high upside. This is another player who fits that role. They are looking for guys. Pretty much the New York Jets are bringing in quantity over quality, and they are telling the people, make our decision easy and show us why you deserve to be on this team. We are bringing in they had like 16 undrafted free agents. They don't care who makes it and who doesn't. They are telling the players every single day of practice, show us why it is you who is deserving to have one of these final 53-man roster spots. There are only a couple spots up for grabs because when you are a more talented, the Jets, I have to imagine talent-wise, top 15 roster in football. And when you have a roster like that, it's most of the players, about 45 to 49 of the 53-man roster is already set pretty much by the second week of training camp. So these guys, these undrafted free agents, they're fighting over only a couple little spots. And the coaches are saying, we don't care who takes it. Someone step up and earn it. Step up, earn the spot. That's exactly what Jamaal Pritchett did. I am extremely excited. I was excited for him while he was still in college. I love the fact that we were able to scoop him up. I have to imagine he's locked in to that final, if not the second to last wide receiver spot on the team. Very excited to see what this player is able to turn into in a year with a lot of unknowns for the New York Jets, especially on offense. Justin Fields, he doesn't have his go-to guy. It's going to be Garrett Wilson, but they didn't have amazing chemistry in the preseason. There's still a chance that Jamaal Pritchett can come in and be the go-to guy who makes life really easy for Justin Fields, or he can be that gadget guy from behind the line of scrimmage, catching tunnel screens or any other type of short wide receiver routes the way Malachi Corley was going to do. But if it's up to me, I do think Malachi Corley will no longer be a New York Jet come 3 o'clock, probably 3 p.m. on this upcoming Tuesday. Jamaal Pritchett needs to be a New York Jet. We have to make sure that he is getting signed to this team, not super long term, but just give this guy at least 1 year to continue to show us what he's got. These small school guys, they are super underrated. They can play. Give them the opportunity. Put them in the game. See what they can give us. Can't wait to see what Jamaal Pritchett is able to bring the New York Jets. But that's what I got for this video. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you are new. And go Jets.